Don't worry, they're not here yet, so you guys can keep talking.
You guys have enough time?
Yes. Yes, we did.
Awesome.
Oh, I never adjourned us, but it was 6:57 or so.
So jerk about my day yesterday? No.
What?
Here.
Oh no. In your pickup?
Yeah, dash cam from someone else behind me going north on 70.
Is that you?
No, I'm a little further. I'm on the left hand.
All right, good evening, everybody. Packed house, welcome to the Arcadia Unified School District Board of Education meeting. The May 13th, 2025 meeting, I'm calling this meeting to order at 7:05, which is being recorded and live streamed on YouTube and can be accessed at boardmeeting.ausd.net. Roll call, we have all board members and executive cabinet are present. And we are going to go to our Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Yee.
All right, everybody rise. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And you have the honor of inspiration as well, Mrs. Yee.
I do. Thank you. So as we have a pretty long meeting tonight, I'm going to keep it pretty short. But I did want to recognize that we will be putting in a resolution for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month this month of May. It's where we honor the deep and diverse contributions of our AAPI communities to our nation and to our schools. And from early pioneers like Patsy Mink, who was the first woman of color elected to Congress for the state of Hawaii. And she was a huge advocate for advancing women's rights in education, Title IX, and really has been an inspiration, I think, for a lot of not only Asian Americans, but women and everybody in this nation who's been able to be, I'm blanking right now. Everyone in this nation who've been able to reap the benefits of what she's done. So today our AAPI voices continue to shape education and opportunity in our wonderful nation. I did, and when I spoke to some students recently, one student did share that when their culture is included in what we learn, they feel seen and they feel like they belong. And really that is the heart of declaring this month the Asian American Pacific Islander Month, is making sure that all of our students feel seen, valued, and supported. So I appreciate that as our board today will be putting that resolution and that the district recognizes it. And that is all I have for tonight.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Yee. All right, we are to approve the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, report out of action taken in closed session. So during its recently concluded closed session, the board voted to approve a settlement agreement resolving the employment of a permanent certificate employee number 3249. The vote was unanimous, and under the terms of the agreement, the employee agrees to submit their irrevocable resignation from the district. In exchange, the district agrees to render payment of an agreed-upon amount to the employee. Both the employee and district waive and release each other from any and all legal claims relating to or arising out of the employee's employment with the district. So that was our closed session, and we are to our student rep report. Ms. Van.
Do we have one more item, Mr. President, before Ms. Pham?
That's
Readmission later? Got it.
Action
Sorry,
items.
thank you.
No worries.
Apologies. Sorry.
Hi, good evening, everyone. We have a full house today, so I'll try to keep it short. 2 years ago, Anvita, the last student rep, made this incredible speech when I first came to the board meeting, and it scared me so much. But this isn't my last board meeting, so if you're here in 2 weeks, that'll be me. But for now, I did bring my friends, and every year, ASB Executive Council comes to the board meetings and introduces themselves, and I'm proud to present the new year's and current year's Executive Council.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amber Chung, and I'm the current ASB president.
Hi everyone, I'm Angelique Dizon. I'm the incoming ASB president.
Hi everyone, my name is Keely Sun and I'm the current ASB vice president.
Hello everyone, my name is Nicholas Lowe and I'm the incoming ASB vice president.
Hello, the current ASB treasurer was not able to make it tonight. Her name is Nicole Sun, and my name is Howie Lee, the incoming ASB treasurer.
Hi everyone, my name is Zuni Ng and I'm the current ASB secretary.
Hi everyone, I'm Jeremy Zhou and I'm the incoming secretary. Hello everyone, my name is Christian Cassis and I'm the current ASB historian.
Hi everyone, my name is Ellie Ma and I'm the incoming ASB historian.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Fan, and I'm the current ASB student representative to the Board of Education.
Hi, my name is Kylene Lin. I'm the incoming ASB student representative to the Board of Education.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Ng and I'm the current ASB clubs commissioner.
Hi, my name is Samuel Dichter and I'm the incoming clubs commissioner.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Cow and I'm the current ASB activities commissioner.
Hello, my name is Christopher Tsai and I'm the incoming activities commissioner.
Good evening, my name is Megan Wong and I'm the current and incoming publicity commissioner.
Good evening, my name is Isabel Zhao and I'm the current Arcadia Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Commissioner. The next EDI commissioner is Strada Allure, who could not be here tonight.
Hello everyone. The current Link Crew Commissioner, Naveen, is not here today, but my name is Megan Sarikos and I'm the incoming Link Crew Commissioner.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Chen, and I'm the current ASB Academics Commissioner.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Wu, and I am the incoming ASB Academics Commissioner.
Hi, I'm Leslie Tao, and I'm the current Performing Arts Commissioner.
Good evening, I'm Kathleen Kwan, and I'm the incoming Performing Arts Commissioner. Hello, my name is Rena Shea, and I'm the current Athletics Commissioner.
Hello, my name is Theodore Pham and I'm the upcoming athletics commissioner.
Hello, my name is Kelly Fong and I'm the current ASB Spirit Commissioner.
Good evening, my name is Matthew Wing and I'm the incoming Spirit Commissioner.
Joey Kuo is the current senior president, but she couldn't be here today. My name is Aisen Cheng and I'm the incoming senior president.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Samantha Tong and I'm the current senior vice president.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathleen Liu, and I'm the incoming Senior Vice President.
Good evening. I'm Elena Lee, and I'm the current Senior Historian.
Good evening. I'm Christina Ong, and I'm the incoming Senior Historian.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Lin, and I'm the current Senior Public Relations.
Good evening. I'm Olivia Liu, and I'm the incoming Senior Public Relations.
Hi again. I'm Angelique Dizon, and I'm the current Junior Class President.
Hi everyone, my name is Iris Leung. I'm the current sophomore president and the incoming junior president.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Serena Gore, and I'm the current Junior Vice President.
Good evening. My name is Brianna Chu, and I'm the current sophomore vice president and will be the incoming junior vice president.
Hi, my name is Allison Chen, and I'm the current freshman president, and I'm also the incoming sophomore president.
My name is Thomas Lee. I am the current freshman vice president, and I am also the incoming sophomore vice president.
Great. That was our ASB Executive Council, and this is the Board of Education report for May 13th, 2025. Prom will take place this Saturday, May 17th at the LA River Center and Gardens. The annual ASB Transfer of Powers Banquet is being held at Dave & Buster's on May 30th, where incoming members will be officially sworn in. The last ICC meeting was held on Friday, May 2nd after school in the lecture hall. Clubs on campus are currently going through the rechartering process for the 2025 to 2026 school year. Link Crew held its Taste of Summer bonding event on May 9th. Freshmen enjoyed various mocktails and summer games. Speech and Debate attended the California High School Speech Association State Championships, earning 8th in sweepstakes. Arcadia High School's Color Guard and Percussion held their annual spring show at the North Gym on Saturday, May 3rd. Additionally, Orcus's Dance Company held their spring production, 7, on May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the Performing Arts Center. On May 1st, Arcadia Track and Field competed at Pacific League Finals and championed in all 4 levels. On May 2nd, Varsity Swim became back-to-back league champions. On May 7th, Arcadia Badminton won the Almont League. Senior Council is in the process of planning Senior Week, which will take place from May 27th to May 30th. Junior Council is in the process of planning their final in-restaurant fundraiser of the year, which is set to be on May 21st at BJ's Restaurant and Brewhouse. Sophomore Council is currently planning their second bonding event of the year, Spring Bling, set to take place on Wednesday, May 21st. And Freshman Council is currently planning their last in-restaurant fundraiser of the year at Raising Cane's, tentatively occurring on Friday, May 16th. And that concludes the board report. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Fannin. Thank you to all the outgoing and incoming officers. Always amazing how you're able to put that introduction together. So kudos. Okay, we are to a presentation that Dr. Bernastal will tell us about.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very excited tonight to celebrate a couple of our staff. You know, if you come to enough meetings in Arcadia, you know that you often hear us speak about the importance of stability, consistency, and predictability in education, and how important that is to have a healthy environment for our kids. Well, behind those traits are people. And we're very fortunate in Arcadia that we are able to recruit and retain the very best and staff, and that's in our schools, for support staff at district office. And because of their longevity and their commitment to our kids in Arcadia, so choosing to practice their craft here in Arcadia and staying, we all benefit. And so when we have 2 of those long-term employees, one an entire lifetime that just never left after being a student, and one that chose to come from a nearby school district and finish out their career with us in Arcadia, but made a conscious effort to serve here in Arcadia. And again, like I said, our kids have benefited. So they're retiring this year, and they're going to be missed. And there's always a loss when this happens. There's always knowledge that kind of leaves with people, and we always have wonderful people to come in to serve, but they're always never quite the same. So just want to take a moment during this meeting to recognize these careers and the contributions to Arcadia. So we're going to start with Dr. Daniel Hacking, and I'm going to let Dr. Forsey, or ask Dr. Forsey to say some words and to share a little bit about Dr. Hacking's career.
Thank you, David. My first instinct was to throw your qualities that I appreciate into ChatGPT, and then realized quickly this was not a roast. This was a professional event, so I threw that out. But I did think, rather than me sharing my thoughts, to ask your colleagues what they think about you. What do you think the first word they threw out was?
Woo.
Yeah, okay, so we're on the right track. Woo came up over and over and over again. But some of the other thoughts are encouraging. Throughout his tenure, Dr. Hacking has demonstrated numerous commendable qualities and skills. However, there exists one distinctive attribute that has truly set him apart, his remarkable ability to bring the woo. Daniel's cheerful. He's happy, optimistic, humorous, affable, caring, and positive. He has included me and supported me since day one as a director. I'm grateful for him and truly will miss him next year. Daniel's positive. He's solution-focused, problem solver, empathetic listener, great sense of humor, and student-centered always. Daniel's the kind of person who always there when you need a friend. He brings a positive attitude and a big personality. You always know when he walks into the room. Every day. He sees the best in people and genuinely cares. Just do not sit next to him in a meeting because he will definitely talk your ear off. I've truly appreciated his support over the years, and he will be deeply missed in Arcadia. Daniel's entertaining and fun. Daniel was an incredibly welcoming colleague who helped me acclimate to my new role and gain a clear understanding of AUSD's systems and cultures. Daniel is a true woo at heart. He has always had the remarkable ability to bring people together with humor, with heart, and with an unwavering belief in the good that lives within all of us. Whether he was lightening up a room with a perfectly timed joke or uplifting a team during challenging moments, his leadership was rooted in humanity and hope. He reminded us that connection matters, that laughter heals, and that believing in people is the first step to helping them grow. And I chose that last paragraph to read last because I cannot think of better words to describe Daniel. He is one of the best I've ever seen at bringing people together. He can sense a conversation maybe going off the rails or not being healthy, and he has a way just to, whether it's a joke or a moment of levity, to bring people back together. He's a master at planning events and making sure every single person feels included and involved. Personally, being in the trenches with him as a principal meant a lot to me. It was somebody I knew I could call at any time for advice or to run ideas by. And COVID, I think we spent a lot of time together virtually, and we spent a lot of time together in the backyard. So you will always have a place at the fire pit, Daniel, and words do not express how appreciative I am, our team is, and our district is of your commitment here at Dana Middle School and the imprint you put there, and then coming over here the last few years of the district office. You will be deeply missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Folsom. Dr. Hacking, I think the greatest compliment you can give someone on the way out is, is the organization better than when you found it? And I am very proud of the fact that we are a better organization, a better school district with you here. And so thank you for your service. And I'd like to hear from you one last time at the podium. And remember, we have a big schedule tonight, so.
Unlike my colleague, I did not prepare remarks, but I just want to be very, very short and say one story. So I came to Arcadia, 2010, new principal, coming from a district. I had a smile with Dr. Vernasdal because not quite the same level as Arcadia, but kids are kids. And my first week, big crowd is gathered, lots of noise out in the playground, and here we go. So I'm rolling up my sleeves, pulling kids aside, looking for the two kids who were fighting, because that's what they do when they all gather. And I was wrong. It was a kid playing the violin really, really well, and all the kids clapping and cheering along, and I thought, ooh, it's time for me to recalibrate. Arcadia is different, and I like to think it's a better place now, but it was pretty fantastic when I came, and it all starts with leadership, so thank you to the school board. It starts with family. Thank you to my wife, Michelle, and I just couldn't be prouder to be leaving on top with such a great last 15 years of my career. Thank you very much, Arcadia. I will miss you.
And thank you, Michelle, for all your support. We know what it takes, so thank you. All right, and I will ask Mr. Greg Gazanian to say some words about Mr. Scott Bramley.
Thank you, Dr. Van Estall. This started off to be a really great talk, and I've just been scribbling for the last hour more and more memories about Scott, so I'm going to try and keep it brief, but we'll see what I can do. I remember the day I met Scott Bramley. For those of you who don't know, Scott has been in the district working for 34 years now, and was a student here as well. In fact, the myth goes that at this very site before the Arcadia Education Center was Bonita Park Elementary School, and he started his days here as an elementary school student riding bikes, and I believe it was called bike tag, where the kids would ride their bikes up and down the hallways as fast as they can and try not to hit each other, or was it to hit each other? I'm not sure. We don't recommend this, by the way. Scott has been an integral part of Arcadia. He's been part of this district for his whole life, and I know his grandmother was as well for 32 years. But my interaction with Scott started in the summer of 1998. I was about to start as a freshman in Arcadia High School. I was volunteering with the technology department. And they said, we have someone new starting today. He's a PE teacher. What you need to know is tech people generally don't get along with PE teachers. We had a lot of bad experiences in PE, for the most part. We're getting better. But I was shocked to learn that Coach Bramley, as we called him, was one of the kindest, most encouraging, and just energized people I'd ever met, which was really important that summer, because before then we only had a handful of computers at each of our sites, and that summer we had a big grant to roll out, I believe, over 1,000 computers at those sites. You can imagine what that would generally look like, is you have a big spreadsheet, and you're like, where are they going? We're going to figure this out. What I got to experience was Coach Bramley yelling, the faster you run, the sooner you're done. Get those computers out, kids, like only a PE teacher could. One thing you need to know about Scott is, deep in his heart, he's a coach. He's always been a coach. In fact, we had a going away party for him about a week ago, and instead of reminiscing, he was showing people how to do what they were doing and giving them tips as we were just putting and driving golf balls. So he's always there to encourage and support. I'm going to talk about a few of the things that Scott has accomplished over the years. It's funny, when I came in, he said, hey, we're having trouble video streaming. Scott was one of the first people to ever stream video from a board meeting. In fact, he had to sit there for an hour just to do 2 minutes of streaming to the Board of Education, but that was before any other district in the area had ever tried it. Before, there was something called product managers. Those are people in app development who would go talk to users and find out what needed to be in a program. Scott was doing that with teachers. In fact, we launched the very first website creation tool in education here in Arcadia with Scott leading the way and talking with teachers. And we would iterate every day in rolling out new specs in these apps, because Scott believes so deeply in working with teachers to get them the resources that they needed. Scott took on the student hacking issue of the late 90s. In fact, he was getting anonymous phone calls at his house. I think it was mentioned in some anonymous hack facts on the internet. So he got to navigate cybersecurity, again, before it was a thing. Believe it or not, there was a time when Wi-Fi was not a thing in education. All of our laptops were hardwired. Occasionally, you would trip over the wires, which was not fun. So young Scott Bramley went to a conference, found the very first Wi-Fi in education, and brought it back and installed it the next week, and we had kids online. Believe it or not, at the time, there was no internet or Wi-Fi at home, so kids would camp out on the weekends in front of their classrooms. And that's how cutting edge Scott was and what he implemented. Scott has implemented not just one, but 2 student information systems, lovingly known as director killers, because people get fired for getting those wrong, and he's gotten it wrong twice. Which is, or right twice. You know what? We got it wrong sometimes too. But for the most part, it was right. He switched over email systems. He flew a drone for the first time in the district. This is a good one. A lot of you are Arcadia High School students, right? Have you ever noticed the tower on top of J Building and maybe wonder what that is? So back in the late 90s, Coach Bramley would climb those towers because we use radio antennas between the school sites. Scott was right about Chromebooks. He was right about Google. And he was right about system after system after system. He is one of the best predictors of where technology is going that I've ever met. And I'll say, when he rolled out Chromebooks, and I had just studied all kinds of methods for how we can roll out with the right numbers to the right places, how do we get this data? I walked in, I said, all right, Scott, I'm ready to do this. He said, I already did it, and he handed me a Post-it note where he had scribbled down numbers and said, this is what we're doing. And I said, where'd you get these numbers? And he said, they just feel right. He was within 1% of what we were shooting for, just off the top of his head. Scott's gifted like that. But beyond the tech, he knows people. He cares about people, and he will encourage and inspire you. There were 3 sayings I'll always remember. I already shared one, which is the faster you run, the sooner you're done. The other, it's not how bad you mess up, it's how fast you fix it. And third, Scott always told me, it's going to be all right. When we had tough projects, when we had bad days, didn't matter if it was technology, didn't matter if it was something personal, Scott was always there to support and encourage. And Arcadia is better for it. So, thank you, Scott.
All right, Mr. Bramley, one last time at the podium, and I have a sense that shirt represents your next chapter in life there.
So, I've already accomplished goal number 1 tonight, which was answered for me as people came in and said, you look like you just came off the golf course, or you're just going on to the golf course. And I wanted to share a story. Back in the summer of 2008, Dr. Joel Shawn was the superintendent in Arcadia. I take that back, I'm sorry. In 2008, he was still the assistant superintendent of Ed Services. He's one of the most direct people you'll ever meet. And I had been working at a school site with our technicians doing some wiring in a lab. I was sweaty, and I was wearing jeans, and I was wearing kind of a raggedy shirt. And I got back to the office, and Edie came down the hall and said, Dr. Shawn would like to see you. And I didn't think much of it because it wasn't an uncommon thing. I got down to his office, and I walked through the door, and I shut the door, I started to pull out the chair. He said, you don't need to sit down, this will only take a second. And he looked at me above the top of his glasses and said, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Well, tonight I'm dressing for the job I want. So I am going to try to be almost as brief as Daniel, and Greg helped me out with that because he caught a couple of things in what he said, and thank you, Greg. That means more than you'll ever know, the things that you shared. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to speak one last time. I just want everybody to understand how much I appreciate Arcadia Unified School District. I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate all the people I've gotten to work with over 34 years. Arcadia Unified School District has been a very significant part of my life for more than 50 years. First as a kindergarten student in 1970, as an Arcadia High School graduate in 1983, and coming to Arcadia in 1991 and spending my entire 34-year career here in Arcadia. When I arrived in 1991, there was very little technology in this district, in classrooms or in offices or anywhere else. We still did things the old-fashioned way, and I mean everything. In the early years, we perfected the district value of learning from failure long before it was a district value. More technology initiatives in that time frame in the early 2000s failed than succeeded, but we learned a lot from it, and they never failed from a lack of effort. We were trying everything you could imagine. Greg talked about having 1,000 computers that one summer. Those computers cost $2,000 a piece. Nobody paid $2,000 a piece for those computers today, obviously, but it was expensive to provide technology back in those days. We've seen transformation in educational and organizational technology during this 34 years that most of us could never imagine, including me. Since becoming the Director of Technology in 2008, there is a laundry list of accomplishments that our department, the best staff on the planet, and the district have accomplished during that time. Greg talked about the Power School implementation. In 2010, how it didn't kill Greg and I'm not sure. The previous implementation, the entire company of Sassy XP was on site helping us do that implementation. Greg and I did it by ourselves that summer, and it included the implementation of the parent portal for PowerSchool, which was a huge impact implementation for the district. And the method we used to implement that has been used repeatedly for almost every pilot and implementation that we've done since that time. Google Apps for Education, now Google Workspace, changed the way we work, completely changed the way we work, and to this day continues to innovate and make things better. The Chromebook pilot in 2013, David went out on a limb at a controversial elementary PTA meeting back in 2013 or 14 and said, we are going one-to-one with Chromebooks. And then walked out of the meeting and said, sorry, I didn't tell you that before, Scott, but this is what we're doing. And I've never seen something so big move so fast. By 2016, we were one-to-one, and we've been one-to-one ever since. All those things led to the success during COVID. That where others struggled, we struggled less. I'll never say we didn't struggle. That was a very hard time, but we struggled less because of all of those things that we'd done. Even harder, maybe, was returning from COVID and hybrid learning and getting the technology in the classrooms for that. The Arcadia Innovation Summit was another thing that I look back on fondly, though it was a lot of work. It was something different than anybody else had ever done. And so it's been an incredible journey for me. I love Arcadia Unified, love the people I've worked with here. Can't wait for the next step, but I'm very excited for the future of technology in Arcadia. I think with the staff in the technology department and Greg's leadership, the sky's the limit, and I'm so excited. On behalf of my wife Paula and my boys Matthew and Jacob, I thank everything AUSD from the bottom of my heart. You know where to find me. Anything that's needed, let me know. Thank you.
Can we get real quick pictures? We'll come out and get some pictures real quick, and then we'll come back. Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Marisol. And once again, thank you, Dr. Hanking, Mr. Bramley, again, for your deep and lengthy service. You will absolutely be very, very missed. All right, next on our agenda is for our audience comments. So before that, I have a quick script I'm going to read. We are now at the audience comments section of this meeting. We have scheduled 15 minutes for this portion of the meeting. Please note that in accordance with the Brown Act, board members will not comment on or discuss what the speakers shared during the audience comments. Each speaker will have 5 minutes to make their comments. This board is committed to maintaining an environment that fosters mutual respect among everyone in our community. As such, we ask that the public comments be delivered in a respectful and civil manner. If the speaker intends to share issues about a specific staff member, we would like to remind them that we have a formal process for addressing personnel complaints, and we ask that you refrain from using an individual's name and encourage you to go through our formal complaint process and procedures before addressing the board. Speakers should also note that per California law, no person is immune from liability for making intentionally false or defamatory comments regarding any person simply because those comments are made at a public meeting. Speakers may be held liable for any slanderous or otherwise defamatory statements. Also, as a reminder, this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Okay, so because we have 5 minutes per comment, I brought my timer for my classroom, and we're going to use that for a timer, so it will count down for each speaker. And our first speaker is, and I apologize if I mispronounce your name, I'll do the best I can, is Marinella Poyo. Please come on up. And I'll just put this right here.
Okay, I'll go fast. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Marinella Polo. Thank you for giving me the time to speak tonight on behalf of my support for Mrs. Bain Meza. I've known Bain Meza for 20 years, and yes, we are friends, but I'm here to speak tonight about the integrity of her character. The nature of my personal vocation involves being around many, many people. I spent 38 years of my life getting to know the nature of people and their distinct personalities. So when I say I've never met anyone like Mrs. Meza in 38 years, it's saying a lot. Her nature is true as a friend, but most importantly, for the reason I'm here tonight. Her dedication as a teacher and unequivocal talent as an educator stands without a shred of doubt. This is the person, the Mrs. Meza that I know. This is a person who people come up to when we're having coffee at Pete's together to say hello to as proud parents of children who are in Mrs. Meza's class, and remind her how much their kids still love her. So in getting back to why we're here tonight, when I learned that Mrs. Bain Meza was being unjustly treated, I was beyond distressed. I not only wanted to show up here tonight as her friend, but as a spokesperson for truth. If the board allows a statement of Ms. Meza as a dishonest person to remain in her file, you're not only assaulting Bain Meza's integrity as a person, you're deeply scarring Arcadia Unified's reputation as a whole. If your intention as an educational institution is to impart wisdom and moral character to children and their young lives you're shaping, please do the right thing. Remove the damaging words from Mrs. Meza's files. This isn't a pointless false narrative everyone has become so accustomed to on social media. This is the life and soul of a true person you're affecting. So in closing, I leave you, the members of the board, my words of unwavering support of Ms. Meza's honesty and strong moral principles. And I would uphold these beliefs in her until there's breath left in my body. And I think I also want to add Scott's, I think I understood it right. It's not how bad you messed up, but how quick you fix it. He sounds like a very strong, very intelligent man. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you. All right, next we have Julie Chow.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent, Dr. Van Staal. I don't think I need to repeat what she just repeated. I think every person in this room, and I mentioned Ms. Meza, her character is unwavering, and it should not be subjected to such treatment from a person. And you ask why? Why would someone put dishonest person in your personal record? Dr. Van Staal, would you like someone to put that on your record and have no repercussions for doing that? So maybe we should question the person who made the statement. What type of person would do that? And I'm glad you guys mentioned about COVID. I think that was the last time we spoke. I personally don't want to stand here to try and defend someone's character, because you all know Miss Meza. Every year when you do your walkthrough through the elementary school, whose classroom do you go to? Ms. Mazes. Every new teacher that stepped their foot at Bowenstocker, as long as I've been there when my kids are there, are trained in her classroom. So would you have someone who's dishonest train a new teacher? These are amazing people we should cherish. And we as Americans have undervalued our teachers. And we need to speak the truth. We need to speak the truth. And a lot of these teachers are afraid to speak the truth because of what? I don't have to say it. I think you all know it. And all of you board members, we elect as citizens to do the right thing. And I will share something with you. When I was PTA president during COVID, we went through a lot. And I thank all of you for working so hard to get all of our kids back. But we had to fight for that, too. As PTA president, we do an award ceremony at the end of the year. And you can't say I made this up because this came from City Hall. It has Ms. Mays' name on here. And she should have been given the Golden Oaks Award, the highest standard in PTA. But someone had the power and authority to tell me I can't. Because she was able to get some board members to agree with her. And this is 2022. Marie Scheidt, this is Ms. Mays' mom. She works for free for our district. She goes into the classroom to help her and the kids, and you all know this. This is not something new. Mr. Jose, Mr. Scheip, not asking a dime from our district because they love to be with the kids. The impact that they have made, I'm sure all the kids here knows who Ms. Meza is. I don't have to say much. Not allowed. The buddies. Remember the buddies? Who fought to get the kids back in school? Dr. Elizabeth Buddy helped us vaccinate our teachers during COVID when we had very limited supply. She dedicated her time, her efforts. Mr. Mark Buddy fought to get our kids back in school. No, you cannot give that to them. Do you know how that makes me feel as PTA president? Does this cost the district anything? It's a piece of paper. Why would someone do that?
Thank you.
I hope all of you will make the right decision. Do what's right.
Thank you.
Prove to our kids you need to stand up for what's right.
Our next speaker is Myra Segrist.
Good evening, board. My name is Myra Segrist, and I'm going to read my thoughts. And I do have thoughts from my two sons, who are former students of Ms. Meza. So I'll read mine first. So Ms. Meza has been the kindergarten teacher to all 5 of my children. She didn't just teach them the ABCs or how to count. She gave them the foundation to succeed in life with authenticity, compassion, and confidence. But more than that, she taught them to be kind, caring human beings. I'm here today because Ms. Meza has always been there for my kids and parents alike, every single day without fail. She is the most honest, dedicated educator I know. She has devoted her life to making this world better through education, one child at a time. Because of Ms. Mesa's early influence on my children have grown to become well-adjusted, happy, kind human beings. That's the kind of impact she has. She deserves our deepest respect, not false accusations and punishment by a bully. Now, I will read you my son Daniel, who is up north at Berkeley. My name is Daniel. Ms. Mesa has been a presence in my life since the age of 4. He started at 4. In addition to my kindergarten teacher, she has been a mentor, role model, and a source of inspiration for what it means to be a person of virtue and integrity. She has one of the purest hearts of anyone I've ever known. And in the time I've known her, she has been nothing but compassionate, selfless, and uplifting. Her kindness and genuine care for others have largely affected the person I am today and the person I strive to be. I have no doubt in my mind that Ms. Mesa embodies the ideal attributes of what a kind human and educator should be, and to say otherwise is fully ungrounded and absurd. Now, this is from my son David, who was the first of my children to be her student. Good evening, my name is David, and I was fortunate enough to have Ms. Mesa as a teacher over a decade ago. Throughout the years, I have kept in contact with her, and she has continually supported me in my academic, professional, and personal endeavors. I have always known her to be a person of highest integrity, an inspiration to myself and my peers, and a phenomenal educator. I was fortunate enough to graduate from USC and have recently accepted an offer of admission to Stanford Law School for fall 2025. I can confidently say I would not be at this point in my life without the guidance and mentorship of Ms. Mesa. AUSD provides a wonderful education to its students, and that result is directly a product of its effective and experienced educators like Ms. Mesa. It is for that reason I respectfully urge the Board of Education to remove the false statement from her employment file. The district and its students and its schools are no place for what clearly amounts to bullying and unwarranted punishment in the form of targeted harassment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, we are now at action items. Item A, admission hearing case number 2024-25-1. This was an item that was heard in closed session, and I do need a motion.
I move to readmit case number 2024-2025-1 to the schools of the Arcadia Unified School District.
Second.
Motion's made by Mrs. Chavez, seconded by Mrs. E. Any discussion? All right, I will call for a vote. This does require a roll call vote. So, Mrs. Chavez.
Aye.
Mr. Ng.
Aye.
Mrs. Yee.
Aye.
Mrs. Vargo.
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. That brings us to item B, resolution number 2425-31, classified school employees week, May 18th to 24th, 2025. Dr. Hirschu.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Board President. We are so pleased tonight to be able to bring forth this resolution to celebrate all of our amazing classified employees. When I was going through my HR training, 19 years ago, one of the trainers that was presenting had described the classified staff as unsung heroes, and that has stuck with me ever since then. They're often the employees working behind the scenes, are not front and center, but we could never ever do what we do in this district without the incredible efforts of our classified staff. So with that, it gives us great honor to be able to celebrate our many awesome employees. This would be the week of May 18th through May 24th. So with that, we recommend approval of this resolution.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hirschu. Would anyone like to make this motion?
I move to approve resolution number 242531, classified school employee week, May 18th through 24th of 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Ng. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mrs. Vargo. Any comments or discussion?
I hope we sing them as heroes. They're not always unsung, but so much of their work goes under the radar. I hope they know that we recognize their efforts and are grateful for everybody's and what they do for this district.
Are you going to sing for us, Dr.?
I will refrain respectfully for your sake.
Appreciate it. Anyway. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, item C, resolution number 242532, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Mrs. Varga, would you mind reading this resolution for us?
No, I'd be happy to. Okay, resolution number 24-25-32. Whereas on October 5th, 1978, the U.S. House and Senate and U.S. President Jimmy Carter passed a joint resolution declaring the first 10 days of May of 1979 as Asian/Pacific American Heritage Week, and the U.S. Congress first expanded the observation to a month in 1990, and whereas National Asian/Pacific American Heritage Month celebrates and recognizes the accomplishments of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the United States, and whereas the diverse Asian American and Pacific Islander American population includes members of more than 30 ethnic groups who speak more than 300 languages and dialects, and whereas understanding Asian and Pacific Islander history is an important part of celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and whereas we acknowledge these Americans for their contributions to government, industry, and commerce, agriculture, science, literature, and the arts, and whereas California is one of the states with the largest Asian American and Pacific Islander populations, and a majority of Arcadia Unified students are of Asian American and Pacific Islander heritage, and whereas we acknowledge the historical and cultural contributions of Asian and Pacific Americans in the development of the state of California, and now therefore be it resolved by the governing board of the Arcadia Unified School District that May is designated Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Vargo. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll move to approve Resolution 24-25-32, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mrs. Yee, second by Mrs. Chavez. Comments?
Sure. I don't want to repeat what Miss Yee already said during inspiration, so just thank you for representation. Thank you for representation and thank you for care.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ban. Any other discussion? All right, I will call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item D, Instructional Continuity Plan. Director Anderson.
Thank you. We are required to have a instructional continuity plan from Senate Bill 153. If you remember back when we had the closures of COVID, we had the, I think it was the, not instructional, it's going to come to me. Basically, the plan that we had to have, it wasn't educational, right? Continuity plan. And so with that, we are required to have it in, and that's to address any time that we have an emergency school closure. And so a team of principals, district administrators, educational partners, and the Safe and Healthy School Committee were involved in developing the plan and reviewing it. Much of it is based on what we already learned from our implementation of our learning continuity plan. And so that was great. And then we also reviewed exemplar plans that were provided by the CDE from different districts and what they've learned from the fires and other incidents. And so what's important is the plan, the ICP, right, because we have to have a 3-letter acronym. Our two-way communication protocol has to be activated in no more than 5 days. And we also have to include how we would support social, emotional, and mental health services and resources. The other part are steps to provide either in-person or remote instruction and access to materials. So even if it was one school that needed to close, like we were, fires or something, we might move sites or something so they would still have in-person, but our plan addresses all of those types of things. And that, I believe, has to occur within 10 days of the school closure. And then the other part is that the ICP must be included in the comprehensive school safety plans by July 1st. And so we're asking that the board approve the ICP and the inclusion of the ICP in the school safety plans. That way we don't have to bring back all of the individual, that plan will be put in. And so sort of asking for a joint action item so that we approve the plan and its inclusion in the school comprehensive safety plans. Do you have any questions or anything?
Questions from the board?
It makes sense to put it in the safety plan.
It's really just codifying what our
we
plan
already
would be
did,
if there was a closure, kind of like we have binders that hopefully you never have to use, right? This is kind of that. It's a binder we hope we never have to use, but it's there in case we do, so.
Any other questions?
I mean, this is totally minor, but I noticed that it's called the Learning Continuity Plan in the document that I was looking at, and it's called the Instructional Continuity Plan here. Am I misunderstanding?
Those are they flipped the language, so it's the actual name is the Instructional Continuity Plan. It used to be the Learning Continuity Plan.
Got it, okay, I'm sorry.
And I mix the two up all the time.
I can't imagine why.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the instructional continuity plan
Do you want it to say and its inclusion in
and
the?
included in each school's comprehensive safety plan, right?
Then we're covered.
So I move to approve the instructional continuity plan and its inclusion with the comprehensive safety plans for the schools. I probably got that wrong.
Thank you, Mrs. Chavez.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ng. Any additional comments or discussion from the student rep or board?
I hope we get it organized in less than 10 days, but
I do have so in the copy that we're looking at on the agenda will be modified to read instructional continuity plan, right? Okay, perfect.
good catch.
All right. I will call for a vote. Everyone, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, item E, deactivation of outdated board policies and administrative regulations. Back to you.
Thanks. So this is part of our ongoing efforts to organize and align our policies with current legislation and ensure they reflect the most current CSBA recommendations. And as you know, we've been bringing policies. This is part of that process. So we're recommending, we went back and looked at all of our policies from 2010 and back and found some policies that were really outdated, no longer supported by CSBA. And these are those policies, and we reviewed them to see. And so we're recommending that 15 outdated policies be deactivated, and we can confirm that the policies are either now covered by other policies and or regulations, right? Or they're no longer applicable because the legal requirements or district practices have changed. So I believe you have the list of those, so I don't know if you had any questions about specifics.
There was one that was a bicycle policy, and I just wondered like where we addressed that, or if we needed to. And so.
Great question. And so what we did is we looked, and it's actually in our annual notification to parents, our ANTP, where it says what the rules are about that. It's also in penal code for the city of Arcadia and all the statutes. It's in several places. And most of our schools have something in their school rules or their handbooks about bicycles, where to park them, how to be safe.
Okay, great. Thank
So
you.
yeah, so it's in other places.
Any other questions?
No, just question, because when you look at the list, there's some that you're like, oh, shouldn't we have that? But just to, just so that the public knows, even though we removed these, if there's something important, it's probably in
It's
another
somewhere.
policy
another
or in a
policy.
handbook or
It's
something
probably
like that.
one not from 1993.
Right.
Yes, and sometimes the language that they were
Right.
using
It's
is,
not appropriate.
it's just not used anymore, and so it's in other places. So yeah, we did go through and make sure that they were all somewhere else. And the other thing that we're finding is CSBA is moving from, before it was always a policy and an administrative
Right.
regulation, right? And now we're finding that they're thinning and they're streamlining. So a lot of times they just have regulations or just policies. So that's, I think, a new trend that they're doing, so we're sort of aligning ourselves. Because a lot of times the AR and the policy were really redundant.
It's redundant, yes.
So, as you know,
Thank-
because you read all of these. Which I
you.
really appreciate, because the comments and things and the catches that you do ahead of time, we're able to make changes. I believe, I can't remember which, there were a couple, and we made those and put them on today's agenda. We were able to get them in prior to.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, some of these were back when I was in school here, so good to update them.
I just have a comment.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the time that you're spending going into this. As a new board member this year, going through the board policies, I did wonder, like, are all of these still in effect? Or, I mean, they are in effect, but when was the last time they were reviewed? And I appreciate that you're taking the time to clean it up so that it can be manageably, administered. Yes.
I feel like we should have the Director Anderson legacy, like the DAO.
Policies,
clean up
yes.
the
It's such a,
policies.
it's one of my favorite things, you get into education to be about kids and you write a bunch of
But
legal
it has
stuff.
been really helpful over the last couple of years.
Well, and I think as a board, I think you've encouraged this and supported it, and I know, because you read them, and I think that shows your dedication to making sure that everything is, on the up and up, so. It's gonna be a while, and I'm gonna be up here because I got a long list of updates.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, I need a motion, please.
I move to deactivate the outdated board policies as listed in the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mrs. Vargo, second by Mrs. Yee. Any further comments or discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much, Director Anderson. See
Thank you.
in a couple minutes. We have item F, new confidential supervisory job description of the bond control specialist, Mr. Eslin.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. This is a new job description for a confidential supervisory position. This is related to our new Measure AS facilities bond, which I'll be talking about more in just a little bit. But this is a new position to the district, though it's not new in other districts. Some of our staff have had experience with this type of position in previous districts. And I think generally the idea of this position is that it plays like a connecting role with all the different aspects that go into a bond program. It's office-based, it's not out at the site, in their boots in the dirt. It's office-based, it's based within fiscal services, and really the role that they play is to interact with purchasing, working on contracts, working with vendors to get the contracts in place, getting purchase orders set up, working with fiscal services to make sure all the paperwork is in line and in order for payment. Also working with the facilities department in setting up the budgets for our bond projects. We are planning on implementing some version of a construction management information system. We haven't selected the final system yet, but this person would be taking the lead on managing that system, which includes a lot of document tracking and budget tracking, and also then financial reporting that comes out of that system. Financial reporting for the board, for the oversight committee, as well as our auditors. So that is a quick overview of this position. If there's any questions?
Did we have this position last time we had our bond, when it was new in
Yeah.
2006?
Good question, thank you. At that time, in Measure I, this work was done by an outside company. They're companies that provide construction management services. Mostly that is at the site, in the dirt with the boots on, but they can also provide this back office support. So we contracted with companies to provide this support at that time. Our thinking now with Tony Barrios, our Director of Facilities and Operational Services, is that we'd like to bring this work in-house so that, number one, we have that knowledge within the district, and number two, we can probably get it for a cheaper price, a better price. If we fly this position and we don't get good applicants, or we don't find someone who's perfect for this job and for Arcadia, we can always ask a construction management company to provide these services for us in the meantime.
And this is something like if we couldn't fill it right away and we did have to
Yes.
contract that, we could 5 years later with an ex bond sale or something, we could always
Probably sooner than
involve
5
someone
years, yes, but yes.
at some point,
Yeah.
so we could keep searching.
Yes, absolutely. I would think within 6 months we would like to have someone.
And this position would be funded from the Measure AS?
Just going to add that.
Okay.
I should have started with that. In this time of
In
low
the budget crunching.
Yes, deficit reduction, this position would be 100% bond funded, not by the general fund.
Since it's funded by the bond, it would be considered a temporary position then?
Not from a technical perspective. So on the classified realm, they don't have temporary positions like they do on the certificated side of the house. But because it is bond funded and it's actually specially funded, actually the newer rules relation to like when this position ends, if you remember a few years ago, they shifted it where all classified employees have to be noticed by March 15th. Well, because this is specially funded, that doesn't apply. So we would just have to give the 60-day notice for a layoff. So let's say all work ended in October, we wouldn't have to fund the position through the end of the year. We just have to provide that 60-day notice. So.
And hypothetically, this could be a 20-year position?
Yeah.
It'd be over the life of
Right.
bond expenditures?
Yes. I will add to what Kevin is saying is that it is bond funded, it's specially funded, and positions like this typically grow and die with a bond program. And last year during the campaign, I said one bond program ends and the next one starts right away. But let's say for some reason there is a pause in between, this position would conclude at that time. In 2016 or so, I know we had a couple employees that were bond funded, construction managers, and those positions closed at that time as well. And they moved on to other districts and other bond campaigns. Yeah, that's very normal.
Any other questions? Okay, need a motion, please?
I move to approve the new confidential supervisory job of bond control specialist.
Thank you, Mrs. Vargo. Thank you, Mr. Ng. Comments or discussion from student rep or the board? All right, I will call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, everybody. That brings us to a close to action items. We are to G, items removed from consent agenda, which we have none. And that brings us to information items. A, report on Foothills Middle School Board Learning Walk. Dr. Forsey.
Thank you. What a wonderful day. I see Ben, Christina's back there. Thank you for being here tonight. Wonderful day opening up your school and your classrooms. Your staff was extremely welcoming. Really enjoyed the day, but the time with the staff during the break was, it felt different. It just did. The room felt so warm. It felt so connected. It felt, it was great. It was just a great day. And I'm not going to talk about anything else about the day because I know there's, but I do want to recognize your willingness to be vulnerable. And you were very vulnerable and honest in talking about how much pride you have in your school and how much pride you have in your staff. And you're also vulnerable in talking about the challenges that you're facing and the challenges that through data you're seeing and working with your staff. And I know that's not easy. And it's not easy working with groups of people to move them in a direction. And I just want you to know how proud I am of you and how proud of the work that you're doing and the way you're doing it with the staff, you know, not butting heads, but including people in decisions and coming to consensus around topics, one of which is a 7-period day, but just really proud of the work that you are doing and the way you're doing it with your staff. So thank you. Let's start, sorry Fenton, you're gonna be last again. Let's start with Shirley.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I echo everything that, I'm having major memory loss today for some reason. Maybe it's because it's towards the end of the year, Dr. Forsey. But yes, I agree. I think really appreciate the vulnerability and the openness of all the work that you've been doing with your staff. At Foothills, it was just really exciting also to hear about the 7-period. And just really commend you and your staff for taking that effort and that step, because I know that's a really scary process to make a huge change like that. But I know that you're doing it because you see the value in it for your students, and so I think that's really exciting. And I think the students are excited from what I could tell, and when I just talking to them when I was there. So, gosh, there's so much to unpack that day. Being able to go to all the different classrooms. I love seeing Snorkel being used in the classrooms. Just that technology is amazing. I think it was Miss George's Math 7 class that I saw that in, and I mean, how great is it, and what a great tool for teachers to be able to use to actually pinpoint which students are having, you know, problems with, like, specific problems, and being able to just target that and, you know, make sure that the students are being supported in the way they need to. So, and I know, Greg, you're a huge part of that, and I think that's a great technology that's being used. I mean, I just love seeing the teachers are so engaged in every classroom. I saw so much, like, collaboration, a lot of happy faces, you know, kids collaborating. I loved seeing Mr. Martin playing violin with his orchestra. Like, you know, I mean, that was just great to see. And you're right, those classroom screens and the ability to be able to, like, just, you know, customize them to the classes, and just see the personality when you walk in. I mean, you could just see the difference in every classroom, and just seeing all that information so that the students knew exactly what was going on is, I know, super helpful. And just all the strategies that were in action. I was looking at that list you gave us, and definitely a lot of collaboration, positive interactions, small groups, the gamified instruction, visuals. Gosh, I mean, I could go on, but I'll let the rest of you. Then also, I really wanted to thank my 2 student leaders, 7th graders Grace and Winona. They were really wonderful guides, and what I really loved about being with them is just how much pride and enthusiasm they had for their school. I mean, they were so excited to just tell me about their teachers, their friends, the things that they were doing. I asked them what their favorite part of Foothills was, and they immediately, both of them, said the community. I mean, they were like, they just love the community that Foothills has created for them. They love their teachers. They love their electives, and the one thing they emphasize, and I'm sure you'll appreciate, is that they really appreciated having a voice and being able to participate in the survey for the 7-period. So just to hear it from the students is really empowering. So just really kudos to both you and your staff and your teachers and everybody. It was an amazing day.
All right, my turn. I guess I'll start with a thank you to my guides, too. My guides were Clinton and Kaylee. They were wonderful, 2 8th graders, I believe, right? All right, and they were wonderful. I got to talk to them about what their hopes and dreams are for going to high school next year, so that was nice. I also wanted to reiterate that I appreciated the vulnerability. As board members, when we come in, we don't necessarily want to see the perfect situation. We want to see like what you're really struggling with, right? So that we can, as we're making decisions, we can try to put things in the right places, right? So I thought that that was very useful for me. Let's see. I appreciated the presentation that you gave also on your MTSS, how you're trying to like push the tiers in different strategies. I'm sorry, different directions, both for people who need help, and also for people who need to be extended, right? And that they need to be challenged. So that was useful for me to see that what your framework for approaching that was. And then I also appreciated the AI. I'm not a super tech person, but like I liked really seeing how it would be used, because it makes me appreciate how it can be used. I know that a lot of parents and people are afraid of AI, but seeing the way that it's being used at your school, both with Snorkel, which I see a bunch of students here. I don't know how you're using Snorkel at the high school, but they were using it for, where I saw it in Miss Salama's class was they were using it, they were being given prompts, and the AI was evaluating how their answers were, and then the teacher was able to go to the students where the answers were kind of iffy. So I thought that was super useful, not just as a tool for teaching the kids, but for helping the teacher identify where the problems are and where she should direct her attention. So I thought that was great. Another example of using AI was like raising and lowering the reading level that a teacher would give to a child. So I thought that was good. Let's see. What else? I'm not going to steal stuff from you guys. I just appreciated all the teachers that allowed us to go to their classrooms. I had a great day there. Dr. Van Asdal was my buddy that day, and we had a nice time together. So I'm sure you'll say some stuff. And we'll move on to Lee.
Okay, thank you. Love coming to Foothills. That's where my kids went to middle school, and so it's always neat to see the things that are traditional and stay the same, and at the same time see the growth and the boundary pushing. And I too really appreciated the morning presentation and hearing about the MTSS journey, which is multiple tiered systems of support, because we use letters all the time, so sorry guys. The thing I really liked was that in addition to the academic targeting and strategies, you were talking about behavioral and social emotional strategies, because it's a whole picture. And so to get to see those live in classrooms was great. Some of the things that I really also liked was I loved learning that there were 27 clubs, because that is a growth from when my kids were there. And I know you're trying to build connection in the community, and we all know that when students are engaged with clubs and things that tie them to school, school's a better place. So that was really fun. The one thing that we didn't really talk about, but I saw it everywhere I went, was the way art is being utilized in assignments in every classroom, and just how vibrant the projects were, and the posters on the wall, and graphic novel-y type presentations. It was really, really cool to see that. Getting to see everything from stats, which I didn't get stats till almost college, or at least they didn't call it statistics, to chemical reaction, hands-on experiments. I mean, there was so much learning happening, small groups, literature questions. I really appreciated having the student circle at the end of the day. My tour guides were 6th graders, but you would never know. So thank you to Shiv and Gavin. They were delightful and loquacious, and that was great, because I got to just hear about all sorts of their takes on Foothills and the transition from coming from elementary to 6th grade, and how that is also being built into community and supporting 6th graders. The whole day was great. One of the things we did at the end of the day was kind of asked the student guides what they learned or got to see that they didn't expect during our learning walk. And one of my favorite comments was from an 8th grader who was talking about the AI that Mrs. Yee and Mrs. Varga were talking about. And she said something to the effect of, AI is just part of our world, so it was kind of nice to see adults and schools using it in a positive way to help learning, because it's so often vilified as, oh my God, AI, that means cheating, and it doesn't always mean cheating. It is a tool, and it's how we decide to use it. And to have an 8th grader be able to make that observation and then also express it way better than I just did was really powerful. And I also very much appreciated the comments from the 7th and 8th graders that in going back to some of the 6th grade classrooms, they saw projects that seemed more engaging or exciting than maybe what they had experienced. So what that tells me is that a lot of these strategies are being utilized by teachers, and that even the students who were just there recently can see the growth and the change. So kudos, because I know how much work that is to change it up when you've been teaching for a long time, or to take a look at something from a new lens. So also really appreciate the staff who are helping to drive that MTSS work and bring it to their colleagues. And I will end it with that, but thank you for a great day. It knocked me off my feet, literally.
Colleagues are very thorough. Crossed off just about everything on my list.
I know, I hate going last.
No, I think once again, the beginning is really worth mentioning once again. Sharing of all that data. And I really appreciated the honesty, the courage that it takes to show information that can be easily viewed as negative. But it wasn't viewed that way. It was viewed as a challenge, as an opportunity, for a new beginning, a renewal, especially with the upcoming change to scheduling and adopting to the point where you have an extra elective a day. I think that's wonderful. The classroom visits were very enjoyable. Energy level is very high. Mr. Anderson was part of my fun group, and so was Ms. Loxon. And being with the students, she was principal at the elementary school. She was like a rock star walking into every classroom, greeted with cheers, and pretty neat. A lot of great learning mentioned by everyone already. Got to see the successful ukulele program that's continuing to be successful, and we're pushing down to the elementary level. I saw maps of China in a history class, and it was interesting that some of them were titled in traditional Chinese and some were in simplified. And I asked why, and I was told that the students had a choice, and I like that. That's a good thing. Great student escorts. I had Aiden, Nikki, and Hannah. They were very excited about bringing me and showing me in the classrooms. They were excited to explain what I was about to see and said, this is what you're going to see. And great students, great communicators. They have a very bright future. So thank you, Dr. Actor, for a very enjoyable and inspiring, informative visit. And thank you to Mrs. Siriani and the rest of the staff. Great visit. Thank you.
Jump in real quick, and Principal Acker and Assistant Principal Siriani, just so much to be proud of. So proud of both you and your leadership and your staff. I remember years ago when we went through our process to emerge our values, and when that process was kind of at the completion, I just remember this really feeling of clear vision of who we are today, and which then revealed a clear vision of where we need to go, and what does those values look like on a daily basis. And I kind of got that same feeling sitting there this morning. I know the word vulnerability came up, and I agree with that. It really became clear to me you have such a clear sense of the strong traditions of Foothills, and celebrating that and leaning into to, each of our schools have a unique characteristic, and you understand what that is. And at the same time, recognizing that every year we get new students and new families with new needs, and things are rapidly changing, and that willingness to then lean into that, and the student voice and the parent voice in that process, and staff, and as you look to the future, to continue to build on that rich tradition, that we stand on the shoulders of giants that have come before us that have built that. And then at the same time, moving forward, and that takes a lot of vulnerability to recognize that it's always easier to keep doing what you're doing, but we all recognize that our students' needs are changing so rapidly. So just thank you for that willingness to walk through that and really just kind of get a clear picture of what's ahead. I'm very excited. And Clinton and Kayla did an amazing job walking us around, kept us busy. I got all my steps in, I clocked it. I loved that we were asking about transition to high school and just kind of some specifics about what do they know about high school? How did how did it go with picking their classes? Where did they get that information? I was really impressed with the amount of information that they knew about the high school, how impressed they were with their counselor, and how knowledgeable they were about giving them information about the high school, visiting the high school. So, I always worry about those transitional years in our district, and just, the ability for all of us to facilitate students through those transitions smoothly. So, it was great to hear. So, thank you for a wonderful morning.
All right, as you make your way up, Dr. Acker, I'm remiss that I left off the best part, which was probably Orchestra Bon Jovi to start the day. I mean, that was an amazing way. We should start our workday every day.
Every day.
That way. And also some of the shifts you've done in your open house with making it a community and bringing family and really showing off the culture and community of your school. I think that that was an amazing open house community experience.
Thank you very much. At the beginning of the year, and I'll keep this short, I'm not going to tell a story. At the beginning of the year, though, I want to thank you, Dr. Forsey, because my friends and colleagues on the wall behind me, we played this little game around August. It's when is Dr. Forsey going to put the boardwalk list up? And this year I blinked and looked, and the most available one for me was May 2nd, so that was cool. So thank you, Dr. Forsey, for keeping it lively. But, it worked out because really in reflection and looking back at the year, we benefited from having a whole year to develop and tell our story. And thinking about, what we had sort of intended from the really last year's boardwalk was I wanted to work with our staff and with our partners to tell the story of our growth in MTSS. And so we were able to highlight those 15 or so strategies per grade level, 5 in academic, behavioral, and social emotional, that teachers were focusing on, that students were learning about. And I was really excited about that. But I think in the process of going through the year to identify how best to serve our students, how best to serve our community, the rich data, the real stories of our families, the pieces about Foothills that, we really hadn't kind of stopped to smell the roses in some points, really kind of emerged and really trying to change the narrative to what do we need to do to make this place, rock and roll. So in the grand scheme of things, in Arcadia, we wisely start with why. And the why, in what we do here in Arcadia, it's profound, but it's sometimes easy to find. We do this because we care about our kids. We quickly arrive at who. And the who's that I'm thinking about right now, first of all, I'm humbled certainly to accept your kind words, and I'm humbled to accept those words on behalf of our awesome staff. We have a veteran staff, we have a caring staff, we have a talented staff, and we have a courageous staff who, one of my colleagues on the wall behind me, I won't identify again for you, Brent, does not like the expression, we're going to build the plane while we fly it. When we went through the data, when we did a lot of homework, we put a lot of foundational stuff in place, there's still some questions that we don't know the answers to about what's going to happen. And I want to hand that courage profoundly to our staff. They've done an amazing job of coming together, of having meaningful, sometimes difficult conversations, but when the dust settles, they care about each other, they care about our families, they care about our students. I couldn't be more proud of them and the work that they're doing. I couldn't be more excited about the work that they're going to be doing with all of us. So thank you to the board for your continued support. Each of those things, the courage, the talent, the veteranship, they're connected to board goals, to our SIPSA goals, about retaining awesome staff, about making sure they have the skills they need. So thank you for that. I want to certainly tip my cap to Mrs. Sirianni and our awesome team. Those high school pieces come directly from our counselor, Mrs. O. And I want to thank every member of our Foothills team. They do an amazing job of supporting our families and our kids. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Acker. Thank you, Mrs. Sirianni. And my personal gratitude too. I wasn't able to make the board visit, but thank you for letting me visit a couple weeks prior to that and showing me around back to my old haunt. So appreciate it. We are to item B, update on local control and accountability plan, LCAP. Back to Director Anderson.
All right, the real work, right? So, you know, I didn't write my public comment card, but I'm going to give you my public comment unsolicited since I get to be up here. You know, I know it's going to sound like fake news, but I'm truly sincere when I say this. The LCAP's a pain, but we're making the process meaningful and developing it with all of AUSD. It's a joy. You know, in a previous life, it wasn't always this way. You know, in a big district, and it really gives me pride to work in a district that cares so much about kids, students, you know, staff. Right? I mean, when doing this process, it touches on everything, and this district cares, and it comes out in all the people that I get to work with. I'm lucky, right? Because I get to touch so many different people, and our staff are all in, and it's really great. So that's my public comment before I get going. So let's see, where are we at? I don't even know if I can make this work, but we'll see. How do I make it go? No? Okay. So I think that just a quick review, right? Our story, right, is, and it can go either way, right? We want to get high-performing learners, right? We want people engaged, connected, and empowered. We want to use multi-tiered systems of support to deliver world-class instruction with highly effective strat and fiscal integrity. We also, right, could go back. We want to spend our money on the right people, doing the right stuff to get everybody involved so we can have high-performing expert learners. And I thank the board for setting up those goals and that we continue to strive towards them because they're pretty big and lofty, if you will. Let's see if I can. All right. So the new LCAP, it had 4 big changes, and I'm just going to go over each one of these and let you know that we did meet all of these as we're continuing our writing. So basically, it requires now that the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant funds, we've spent them all. And so we don't have to put it in our plan, but we're really hopeful that we're going to get some more funds. And when we do, we have to put it into our plan, so we do a revision. So happy to do the work on a revision if we get those funds, because they did so much great work in the past. The other piece is that the LCAP template and annual update instructions, it really enhanced the plan summary, so we had to put a lot more things into that in writing it. Moving on, the LCAP now meets the federal requirements so that we don't have to do a separate plan for the ASD, right, the ASD, the Additional Targeted Support and Improvement. We did have a couple of schools that were involved with that. So that's good news for us. And then it also expanded how we talk about our stakeholder engagement, our educational partners engagement. We've done that. And then it talks about equity multiplier funding, but we don't qualify for that because we're not high poverty. So we've included all of that in there. We're going to continue our 5 broad goals. We're going to continue our 23 actions, but we're going to propose 2 additional actions in goals 1 and 3 based on our review of LCAP and its associated data. So I think that's one of our main reasons why we're bringing this to you today, because we are going to suggest some additional things. All right. So the first one that we're talking about is we really looked at our data, and what I'm going to talk about are the two things that really came to light, the biggest pieces of that thing. And so one was students with disabilities. The good news is that 2 of our 3 schools, they actually improved and got out from red to orange, so that's great news, and a lot of hard work went into that. I think that the other piece is we found that our college and career indicator for students with disabilities was in the red, and so we really worked hard to. I have to give a shout out to Dr. Dillman and Karen DeBurk. They were amazing in looking at the CTE portion, and I'll talk a little bit about that. I did want to mention, though, that we still have an action 1.5 around special education, and so what we're going to do is continue that goal, but our schools will add specific actions in their school plans for student achievement. And we took on a big undertaking this year. I don't know if you remember the last SIPSAs, but they just had district data, and now we disaggregated all of those metrics to a school level and put them in their SIPSA. In meeting with all of our principals, they thought it was so useful. So all of that hard work was actually, it's rewarding when they find it like, hey, this is great. It's very helpful. And they are now using it with their leadership, their school site council, and in their data dialogue. So that's exciting as well. We added an action. I apologize for the slide, but Dr. Forsey and I talked about it, and then we met with the exec team, and we all said, well, this is the actual action that's going into the LCAP, so we should present it publicly so everybody can see it. Again, the deep dive that Dr. Dillman and Karen DeBurk did was remarkable. Plus, I gave them a timeline that I wanted it, during spring break, and they did it, which was very nice of them. I think the highlights of this are that the case carriers and counselors are going to have meetings to understand students' personal goals, right? And then they're going to address college and career readiness during IEP meetings, which I thought was really exciting. I think it's something new that we've never done before. And then we're also, one of the things that they found was we might not be reporting our data to CalPads as accurately as we should, and so we're missing some of the kids just because of how we're tagging things, and we're getting better all the time, but they keep changing the rules too, which makes it, challenging, as you all know. I did want to just show you that we have metrics. You can see here that we're continuing to work towards them. I think that we also had to add some new metrics to measure our A through G completion, as well as our CTE pathway completion, specifically targeting students with disabilities. We also had to change, I don't know if you noticed, but we had to change some of our metrics. I think I presented it in the update. They've canceled some, they don't give us the data anymore, and so we had to switch because they switched sort of what data points they're using. The next piece is...
Can you go back one slide?
Yes, sir.
I would like to point out the middle of this slide and the A through G completion rate for students with disabilities. That is exceedingly high. So there's some things we need to work on, and that is one piece that when I actually had Jim run it a couple times to make sure it was accurate, but that's a really positive piece to things that are going on, especially at the high school.
Thanks. And so they've now added long-term English learners, or what we call LTELs, to the California dashboard. And that, I was talking to Dr. Mendoza about this, right? It's not reclassifying for 6 or 7 years, depending on who you talk to. So it's always challenging for us to use and look at our own data and have to disaggregate. And we're looking literally, the team, they're going in and having to look at the date that the student enrolled in school, and then crunch the data based on the rules, because we don't have the reports. So they're doing it by student, pulling data. It's very impressive. So I have to give our EL team, Dr. Mendoza and Kim LaBella, they really done a tremendous amount of work looking at this data and digging into it. And so we are underperforming in ELA and math, but they found something that was really interesting. 50% of our LTELs are also students with disabilities, which is fascinating. And so they're falling into both subgroups. And so as our students with disabilities are underperforming, as well as our LTELs, we're seeing they're probably impacting both subgroups because there were so many. And that was something that we all just thought was really interesting, and they continue to dig into that. So they, we all worked on a measure, and basically we're going to continue to provide our supplemental supports and review data regularly, but we're going to add small intervention groups for LTELs. We're going to increase the use of SST process to conduct language development analysis. So not only looking at the academics and things, but also looking at their, how are they acquiring language, and what might be some of the barriers to that, including at home. Right? And so they might not be practicing as much at home. And then we're going to add additional culturally and linguistically relevant materials for LTELs. And I think most importantly, the EL team and the special ed team will be collaborating on looking at writing IEP goals and supports for our LTELs, since half of them are, have an IEP. So I think that's super exciting. We did have to add some metrics. So you'll see here, basically, we're going to monitor our LTELs for, English Large, our percentage of LTELs, and then they're making progress. And we've set some targets for ourselves for that. And oops, sorry, I'll jump too fast. I got 3 things going on. So we got a lot of work to do. As you can see here, we still have to meet with our LCAP advisory. That's happening next week. Thank you to the board members that will come to that. We have to add our 24-25 estimated actuals. We have to align our proposed budget to the LCAP. So David Vong and I will be burning the midnight oil to get all of that budget information, because it's after the May revise. So we're used to just hammering through it. So that's a heavy lift. Then we have to have our public hearing, and then, which is our first board meeting in June, then our board approval, and then it has to go to LACO for its official review. I've already started the process with a pre-review, and then we have to submit to the CDE, and then finally the LCAP is approved. Woo, sorry. So I know it's a late night and everything's going, but I'm here if you have questions, but we did want to present that so you're aware of where we're headed, and we still have a lot of steps to go. Any questions, or can I go sit down? No.
All right, no questions. Thank you,
Okay,
Director
thanks.
Anderson.
Yeah, just appreciate the regular updates so that it doesn't come at us all at once.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
we'll keep trying.
And really exciting to hear about that collaboration between special ed and
Yeah,
English language.
I think there's going to be great stuff
Yeah.
happening at our schools. It's going to be neat.
Thank you, Director Anderson. Okay, item C, budget enhancements and reductions, 2025-2026. Mr. Vaughn?
Good evening. I think it's just I'll wait till the presentation comes up. But as it comes up, I'll just start off by saying that this is, we're continuing through the budget development process for our 25-26 fiscal year. This is just an update on our budget enhancements and reductions. Within the 25-26 budget, and hopefully this looks familiar. I think for Mrs. Vargo, I'll try to provide as much context You know, in the previous meeting, we kind of went through our budget assumptions. I'll be going through the enhancements, and these enhancements are essentially, as I go through the budget development process, I've shared budget templates with all our budget owners, and for the most part, I've collected all the feedback. And there's also things that, enhancements that are also just kind of part of, you know, what's happening within the state, and our step and column adjustments, PERS and STIRS increases, and so forth. So that is kind of that is the content that is going into this budget update. And before I continue, just to share, and I'll probably recap with this, but this is still based off of our January budget proposal for the most part. The big reveal that we're waiting on is the May revise. We have a May revision workshop that is facilitated by School Services of California on the 21st, on May 21st. And right after that, at the next board meeting, I'll be providing highlights from the May revise. And the updates from that will really help to kind of solidify our budget for next year. So jumping into the presentation, we've been pretty consistent with how we classify the enhancements. We typically look at the source of the funding, whether it's unrestricted or restricted, that'll be funding these enhancements. The duration of these enhancements, whether it's an ongoing or a one-time enhancement. The type of cost, we always tag as either new or previous, and with new, just as a footnote, we also consider anything that's incremental cost to the coming year versus the current year. If it's added cost, it's typically classified as new. And the control around these costs, for the most part, we typically go with essential, which is essentially a required or necessary. A lot of these enhancements fall into the essential category, unfortunately, so it's kind of beyond our control. And whether it's a state mandate or a local decision, a lot of these are local decisions, but these are things that we really have to do. So jumping into it. Okay. On this first slide, what I have is just the categories between the unrestricted and restricted categories. We have them here, the 4 columns you'll see. This is a waterfall chart. Starting with the left-hand side, we have the unrestricted ongoing enhancements and reductions, the unrestricted one-time, and the restricted ongoing and the restricted one-time. And collectively, they all add up to $1.1 million. To give you an idea, and I have a slide at the end that'll kind of recap to provide you with a point of reference, but we have done a pretty good job in regards to trying to make good on the deficit reduction plan. I think the enhancements that you'll see that I'll be going through tonight are much less than what we've had in the past in terms of budget enhancements this time of year for the following fiscal year. I think from the messages, I think from Dr. Van Osdal and the executive team have shared with our budget owners, it's made my job a little easier in terms of trying to kind of sift through budget enhancement requests, because I think there were literally none this year. Everyone kind of knows that we're trying to tighten up our belt and trying to address this deficit spending. So that's been a pretty good, that's been a positive. Within these 4 categories, in the following slides, I'll go through, we'll focus on the unrestricted ongoing and the unrestricted one-time. I'll just touch on this really quick. Of the total $1.1 million, you know, there's essentially about $4.3 million in enhancements, but it's being offset by the $3.2 million deficit reduction plan that was shared with the board in early March. So that's reflected in this in these numbers. And I'll also mention just that it's pretty small in the restricted ongoing. We are adding some positions, primarily a psychologist to support one of the new SDC classes, the special day class, and an increase in cost for a maintenance position. This was an approved reclassification just based off of the duties within that job. That amount to the $100,000 in the restricted ongoing. The $500,000 in the restricted one-time is primarily for the remaining playground structures at our elementary schools. I believe it's Highland Oaks and Camino Grove. That is being funded out of the routine maintenance fund in the general fund. And I'm sorry, let me jump back really quick. I just wanted to share, if you can kind of make a mental note of the unrestricted balances. I'll be going into a deeper dive in the following slides. I'll be breaking down that the negative $800,000 in the unrestricted ongoing and the $1.4 million in the restricted one time. And I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that within these waterfall charts, it's the inverse of what we've typically seen in the past. So anything that is negative, I highlight in green because it's a positive change to our ending fund balance, our change in fund balance. And anything that's red is an increase in our expense. Typically, it's, in my other budget presentations, it's an inverse because the expenses are typically a bad thing. Okay, so jumping into the unrestricted enhancements, the ongoing enhancements, starting off with the left-hand side, you'll see that there's $1.2 million tied to classified salaries, and that is primarily driven by step and column. So when we look at all the positions across the district, the step and column movements, again, these are any positions that are not at the last step. So every year, essentially as a step moves, that's an incremental cost to the district. And I want to say that it's been pretty consistent with what we've seen in the past. The step and column movements are about 1.6%. Typically, it's about 1.5% of total salaries within the district. And that has been pretty consistent.
Mr. Fallon, can I
Yes?
interrupt you for 1 second? So for kids, I know we've been talking a lot tonight and using terms like certificated employees, classified employees. The difference is certificated are people like teachers, administrators that have a certain certification for their job, certain training. Classified employers are also highly trained in a lot of cases, but they might be an accountant or a school custodian, someone that's not directly involved in like your classroom experience. So that's why the certificated salary piece is a lot bigger, because we have a lot of teachers and people that are helping make that happen. Anyway,
Yes.
I remember being new and like all of these terms are a little overwhelming, so thanks for hanging in there. But I just wanted to point that one out because that's a big expense.
Yes.
And every year, people get, based on their years of service or additional education they might pursue, they are paid more for those things.
Yes.
That's when he says step and column, kind of what that means.
Thank you for adding that. And just to provide some perspective, we have about 400, actually it's about 450 certificated staff members at the district, which are much higher than the number is much higher than our classified employees. And typically when you look at it on average, the certificated positions are paid are at a higher salary, which is why you see that discrepancy of 1.2 million for our certificated salaries versus the classified salaries. So the step and column movement tied to certificated salaries, in addition to 2 FTE for new teachers to support our new preschool class at Baldwin-Stocker and the special day class, which is going to be partially offset by tuition revenue that we plan on charging for the preschool. The $400,000 in classified salaries, again, it's step and column movements. We're also adding an additional 1.875 FTE for instructional aides to support those 2 new classes, the preschool and the SDC class. And that's, again, going to be offset by tuition revenue, and we're anticipating additional ADA because of that preschool. Because of that SDC that will help offset those costs. Benefits. The benefits of $400,000 is primarily driven by the increase in the benefit cap. We negotiated with our unions $540 across all the bargaining groups in terms of an increase to the benefit cap. The nice thing is that we're actually, one update to the assumptions that I shared at the last board meeting was that the PERS rate has actually decreased, which is nice. It decreased by about, I think it was like 0.2%. So we're currently at 27.05%. It's going down to 26.81%. And that amounts to about $50,000 for us. So that was nice. Services increase of $400,000 is primarily tied to our insurance premiums for property and liability. Again, this kind of goes back to, I think it's AB 218. This was the assembly bill that kind of removed the statute of limitations for sexual abuse. And although this has not directly impacted us, I think because the insurance carriers, are getting more claims. Those premiums unfortunately impact us. And the big deficit reduction of 3.2, again, that was the year one projection in the deficit reduction plan that was shared with the board in March. And that gets us to a decrease in the unrestricted ongoing overall of $800,000, which is great progress, and this is a look at the unrestricted one-time enhancements. There's not too much going on here. Across our classified salaries, our certificated classified salaries and our benefits, the primary driver is the MOU we have with our bargaining units to work the 3 additional days for collaboration days. We classify them as one-time because there's an MOU that gets extended. It's not something that is an ongoing cost indefinitely. And for services, the $200,000 that actually rounds up, it's about $150,000 that we have estimated for the board election. This is the biennial board election that happens every other year. And that gets us to $1.4 million. On this next slide, this is just a look at, when we look at our new and previous categories, excluding the $3.2 million deficit reduction plan, these are the enhancements. Again, the previous of 1.7, that is primarily driven by the collaboration days that I mentioned previously. The new incremental cost of $2.5 million, again, it's broken down. If you look at step and column for $1.5 million, benefits of $400,000, insurance premiums, the board election, and the new positions. And just to conclude, again, to provide you with some reference to where we were in previous years in regards to budget enhancements, you'll see that I have the previous 3 years in here. I have the unrestricted and the restricted totals, and you'll see that for next year on the far right, we're at $1.1 million in total. That's $4.6 million. Down below, you'll see that it's a change versus the prior year. It's $4.6 million better than where we were the year before. And you can see that back in 22-23, we're at $11.2 million. Pretty significant enhancements. But to provide some reference, of course, back then there was more funding available. But this is very indicative of, I think, the work that has been going into the minimizing enhancements. And with that, I'll take any questions if you guys have any questions. Great.
No questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ball.
Mr. President, if I may, we're going to let our students go. It's a school night.
It is.
We would be honored to call a quick audible executive group photo with the board before they are dismissed, if possible.
Absolutely. Please.
No, and thanks for hanging in there, guys.
Yeah, it's getting warm.
That's so weird.
All right, ready? All right, show me happy. All right, now destroy me. Wait, one more. All right, one more good one. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, is that enough there, boss? All right, I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
It's like a 7th-inning stretch. Yeah, it worked out where they met before for an hour. He was going over the roles of the board. You guys were meeting out this sort of perfect. I went in, I had an hour with him talking about yeah, it was nice. They got to ask questions. They had a lot of good questions.
That's fun. I was like, so my husband gave me that, and we had a rooster. We had a rooster.
I think I chickens.
Yeah, we had a rooster, which we just got rid of recently. But I thought this, every time I looked at this cup, I thought this was in reference to the rooster.
Cutting edge, you're
Telling you,
flashing
man.
because when you get it from a high schooler.
When a high schooler says your fit works,
I thought this was
that
about
like
my
makes your
rooster.
night.
It says a lot, yes. It says a lot.
Holy moly, this is a big meeting.
It is. Good meeting.
Oh no,
But I mostly
super
just
meeting.
drink out of it because
Lots to it.
it's big and insulated.
It was a nice 7th-inning stretch.
Yeah,
That was.
was.
I feel like
Yeah,
we
we
should
need
all
that.
sing
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Ryan.
Strikes are out.
In honor of Pete Roseman.
I kept looking over
I saw
at
that.
the
They put them back.
And Michelle's like,
I know,
why
I was
can't I
like,
do
oh my
it?
gosh.
To him, though, we're going to go to D. Results from sale of Measure AS Series 2025 General Obligation Bonds. Mr. Esslin.
Good stuff.
Yes. On May 1st, we sold bonds. We had a very successful bond sale, $70 million. We thought it was going to cost our taxpayers around 5% interest. It came in actually at 4.37, which is great news. We had 12 bidders, so lots of competition. The rumors that the bond market was dead are greatly overstated. B of A Securities Inc. was the winner with the lowest bid, and you can, if you have the board memo in front of you, you can see that between B of A, the lowest bidder, and the 12th bidder, we're saving $1.9 million. So I was really like, what day was that? Wednesday or Thursday was a really good day for me. We're actually required by law to provide this information to the Board of Education at our next board meeting, so we're doing that today. GFS, Lori and Keith will be coming to the next board meeting and doing a more involved presentation. And the last thing I want to share on page 2 of the memo, there's some more detailed information there about the actual cost of the bond sale. We had thought it would cost almost $1 million to sell these bonds, and it turns out it was about $431,000. That money that we saved means we get about $500,000 more into construction. And it also shows a breakdown of the $175,000 cost of issuance, which is our bond counsel, it's GFS, it's Moody's, it's the banks who process the cash and the sales. And we do expect to receive the cash on the 15th in 2 days. Any questions?
How do we, did you explain how the costs came in so significantly under?
I think the competition, having 12 bidders.
Okay.
Going through that competitive bid process. And what GFS actually does is it's sort of a two-step process where it's a competitive bid. We've got 12 bidders. Obviously we go with the best one. And then they do a little bit more additional work to fine-tune the timing of the bonds when they mature. That's why, again, if you're looking at the memo, the original, sorry, what am I trying to say? That it's not the total interest, it's the true interest cost, TIC, went from 4.369 to 4.371. So they slightly tweak it to make the bond sale, they tweak the maturity dates so that the bonds are more attractive to buyers. But all that to say that I think it's really the competition.
Okay.
Our bond rating,
the
double
rating.
A1, doesn't hurt. It was a slow day, which we knew a couple days prior to May 1st that there wasn't much else going on with municipal bonds that day, so that was good for us as well. It was also like a couple weeks after the president had sort of paused the tariff wars. So things were very volatile, and then they had a week or two to calm down, and maybe people kind of got back to business by the time we sold these. Yeah.
Timing worked out well for us then.
Take it.
All right. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yes.
Peterson.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. All right, we are to E, Board Policy 5112.1, exemptions from attendance revision first reading. It is the Director Anderson
It
show.
is Director Anderson show.
Would you like to just talk about all of these board policies?
Sure, and feel free to stop me if you have questions. So Board Policy 5112.1, exemptions, really minimal changes. Basically, we reworded what was already there, and then we added the language that we can ask parents or guardians to submit written documentation around how they're fulfilling the legal requirement to attend school. The next one is open and closed campuses. We basically took one paragraph and separated it into two, eliminated the word truant, and this policy allows the senior privilege for 12th graders at the high school. Moving along, Board Policy 5145.12, search and seizure. There were a lot of changes to this policy regarding laws and recent or ongoing court cases around search and seizure. The legality of search and seizure by school officials is really complex, and this policy really provide guidance to school administrators, but we do say that it should not replace counsel in more complex cases, and our principles are great around search and seizure requirements. The policy addresses the circumstances in which search and seizure can happen around individual students and how they're authorized, as well as you have to have individualized suspicion and circumstances. And it also talks about the searching of personally owned cell phones. And
There's a section about student use of technology that is redacted now or eliminated. Do we still have the ability to look in our own systems and databases for on student information if needed?
yeah, great question. Yes, so we have it in our ANTP. We also have it in our acceptable use policy. I think the reason that language was removed is because of how many lawsuits they were having with schools searching personal cell phones. We still have the ability to search all of our databases, like our servers that we store things on, any Chromebook, anything that's district owned.
Right.
We can do, and because there's a lot of language around the reasonableness of of a search, but I think the personal device, it has to have, you have to have a reasonable suspicion that there's going to be significant harm or danger to others, and they've been really clear. There's several cases now where they were searching for things other than that, and so, but we still have the ability, and TIS does an amazing job. We've had to do some searches for things, and they're able to go back, and I can't believe what they find. And anyway, so they're great as well.
Thank you.
Even if a student is using a personal cell phone, oftentimes they'll tap into our services, for example, their student email address, and that still would be part of our system. So even if they're using a personal device, if it interacts with our system, we'll be able to do that as well.
It also aligns with our practices. We don't just take kids' phones and start searching them for no reason. There's, but some of the court cases, there was that aren't as, we're here because everybody wasn't, I guess, as aware of rights. And so this policy very much aligns with our practice around personal devices.
And our schools do a great job. They're respectful, and our kids are pretty great too. A lot of times they'll allow us to look. But TIS again too, what they can do with an IP address has in discipline cases have been very useful.
Thank you.
Keep going. Okay. So 62.5, student assessment. This is an optional policy, but basically it talks about that we have to use statewide student assessments as one of our measures for progress. It's what we do already, and that we have to include that in our local control and accountability plan, which you saw tonight. A lot of that data was there. And I think the other piece is that we have to look at numerically significant student subpopulations, which we do. And I think that's everything.
All right. Any questions from student rep or the board?
Thank you. That was a great question.
Would you like these back on information
yes,
items
if you could, that
next
would be
meeting?
great.
For consent?
For consent, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
okay.
For consent.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we did make a couple of changes. I think somebody
yeah.
saw we were already able to do that. So.
Okay. Thank you so much, Director Anderson. Okay, finally, to I, or is that L? I, department updates, Dr. DeMonstall.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. So we'll hear department updates from each of our departments since our last meeting updates. So we'll start with Mr. Esslin.
Okay. The J13 waiver that we submitted to the state has been approved. That was to get waived for the attendance and instructional minutes requirements for the 3 days that we were closed during the wind and firestorms. So that will not impact our funding, and that's concluded. The rest of the things I'm going to talk about are actually David previewed in his presentation, but as part of the deficit reduction, our training for managers as budget managers is ongoing. We are about halfway through 4 2-week blocks of training that builds on itself, hopefully concluding at our charge with a review of what we've learned and where we're going to go next year as budget managers in Arcadia. And then moving on to a more serious topic, more serious than deficit reduction. David mentioned the enhancement to our insurance, the $400,000, and he mentioned AB 218. And this is something I've been thinking about bringing to the board, and I think that we'll maybe do a more deeper session at another meeting, but it's been a topic of conversation recently, both in our insurance JPA as well as here in the district. So I just wanted to give you a couple quick updates or pieces of information related to AB 218. As you may know, AB 218 extended the statute of limitations for victims of childhood sexual abuse up until the age of 40, where it used to be 26. It also allows a victim to file a claim up to 5 years from the date of discovery of the link between their abuse and psychological harm. There's another law, AB 452, that removed the statute of limitations effective January 2024, going into the future. So as of 2024, there is no more statute of limitations for any claims of childhood sexual assault. And so this has had a huge impact on school districts throughout California, financial impact. But before I talk about that, I just want to speak to the intent of these laws, because obviously it's important that we validate and honor the intent of these bills, which is that the victims of these abuse acts deserve justice and compensation. It's a horrible thing to have gone through, and everyone agrees that something should be done about that. The state has also put preventative measures in place and mandates for training, and that's all a good thing. Where we as districts and as financial organizations have some concerns is that the rights of these survivors are outweighing the rights of our children today who are suffering from the financial consequences of these laws. And so that's where action is starting to take place at the state level through organizations like CASBO and FCMAT. FCMAT just did a recent study on the consequences of AB 218 and making recommendations going forward. I'll just throw out a quick statistic. 2024-25, we had very low COLA funding, about 1%. Compared to the increase, there's a statewide supplemental insurance organization that has assessed additional costs to almost all school districts in California, all of those that participate within that organization. The cost of that assessment this year is about a quarter of all new dollars that went to school districts this year. So 25 cents out of every new dollar that we got this year is going to cover these insurance assessments. And the last thing I'll say about this is for Arcadia Unified, we have had to pay 3 additional assessments, and we have another one coming up in the fall of this year, and that totals almost $900,000. They have told us to expect these new assessments on an annual basis going forward. And so that's where we sort of come up against these competing interests of supporting these victims and also protecting our students today. And then hopefully in the future we'll have the ability to have a longer conversation about that. The last topic that I will talk about is our health insurance benefits. We have a health insurance benefit committee with representatives from all of our employee groups, represented and unrepresented. We met several times because our renewal came in at a higher than expected increase, about 9.5% on average. Our insurance plans are going up next year. So we had 3 meetings, had a lot of conversations. Alliant, our broker, shared with us a lot of information, because what we were doing was looking at our current plan and the renewals and looking at changes to those plans to try and bring down the increase, to reduce the increase in cost to our employees. We looked at over 15 plans. We've got 8 currently. We've been able to add another one, so we'll have 9 plans next year. And the idea is to offer a range of plans, with low premiums, high premiums, depending on the situation that our employees are in. And we can't predict what might be best for them in their lives, so we're trying to give them a range of options. Some of our plans are staying the same. Others, we tweaked them slightly, like a higher out-of-pocket, higher pharmacy cost, higher annual maximums, things like that. We managed to bring that overall increase from 9.5% down to about 6.8%. So an improvement, still a significant increase. Fortunately, The benefit cap still covers the cost of the individual for that Kaiser HMO, which is our most popular plan. The last few years, we've managed to build up a bit of a cushion, and we're using up most of that cushion this year. But it's the first time in, I think, a decade that we've had to make changes to our plans. And so I really appreciate the committee. Rachel was on the committee as well. They did a lot of hard work and thoughtful work. So thank you. And that's my update.
All right, any questions? Thank you. All right, moving on to educational services, Dr. Forsey.
Okay. TK. Patty took 9 TK teachers to Down Unified to look at a demonstration classroom down the TK classroom. And it's with a group consultants through LACO that we've been working with. They first came and visited, I think, every site, right? So they came here first, walked every site in our TK rooms, and then we had 9 TK teachers get to go to Downey and see kind of a model classroom. It's very much built around play. And so now that our TK age population is steady and concrete, we have some money set aside that has to go to TK, and so we're looking at what can we do across the district to have a robust play-based TK environment for students. And Andrea is collecting LPAC scores. They come in almost daily, so we've looked at some of the preliminary data, but that will be should be all in by early to mid-June. And those are my updates for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Forsey. Moving on to Human Resource Services, Dr. Harishi.
All right, I'll be brief tonight. HR staff has been working hard, and we will have all positions filled for the start of the year.
I like that
That's a luxury that not every district has, so we're going strong. In terms of enrollment, today we're about 40 kid student fewer than where we were on this date last year in the enrollment period, but we're still, I think, within target of meeting our projections. So we'll continue to monitor this and see where this takes us. Kids don't come in nice, neat packages, and they sometimes bubbles hit it. Enrollment bubbles hit at different points in different years. But either way, we're I think holding strong, and hopefully we'll at least be flat for next year. So that's it for me.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to strategy, innovation, and technology, Greg Zeno.
All right, 2 quick items tonight. We are continuing our work to prep the new Chromebooks for the coming year. So we have a full assembly line going at the high school, and we're going to be ready to ship those out to the school sites to make sure they're ready for the coming school year. We are also doing an in-depth assessment of our current desktop computers. Microsoft has informed us that Windows 10, the operating system, will no longer be supported after mid-October. So we're assessing the current number of Windows 10 workstations that we have and what our appropriate upgrade paths are to make sure we're going to be able to have a safe, secure computing environment for our offices. I'll continue to provide updates on that. And that is it for me.
Questions?
Good call on getting those Chromebooks before the tariffs hit as
Yes.
well.
I'd love to take credit for that. I'll take a very small amount, but our partnership with our vendors has really benefited us in that regard. We talk a lot about, instead of just working with vendors, we have partnerships. Several times now we've gotten the heads up of when we need to start making those considerations, make those purchases, and it's worked out well for us. So thank you for mentioning that.
All right, and communications, Mr. Ferran.
All right, good evening, everyone. We had DCI in the house tonight. Appreciate everyone welcoming them here. We try and bring the interns about once a year when we can, so they have the experience of knowing what the Board of Education is, your role and your function. Dr. Van Alsdahl and I, years ago, were talking about the board, and somehow we got to talking about students, and do the students know kind of what a Board of Education is? And an unofficial poll revealed that no, most students do not know what the Board of Education is. We do have a great student rep to the board, and we instituted that years ago, so I think that definitely helps with the student voice, and they go back and explain some of the policies and things. But so we started bringing the interns here, once a semester or once a year, and just to educate them on the importance of the function of the board, explain their elected officials and what you guys do. And Dr. Van Alsal was great. Thank you for popping in tonight and kind of explaining your role with the board. And we talked a little bit about the Brown Act and how it's such a formal agenda and meeting, and a lot of the laws that apply to the Board of Education. So I think they're the storytellers for the district. They really help us, and you can't tell the story of AUSD without the Board of Education and its role. You just can't do it. So something we've been doing for years, and it's just a vital piece of who we are. Next year, I tried to do it this year, but it didn't work with the closed session and the meetings we had left, but I'd love to invite the board. We come early, about 5:45, 5:30, to have pizza, and we kind of go over that. I'd love to have you guys just come in, and we can do a kind of a Q&A with them, and just kind of your why and the roles that you guys do, and kind of why you're here. And we talked about we're a little bit different as to the whys of our board members as opposed to maybe other districts, and how that makes us unique. So that'd be great. We'll try and work that out for next year. Fenton was asking about the numbers. We kind of noticed this is a large group this year. We have 27 interns right now. We started the program back in 2015, which is kind of shocking. We're at 10 years of doing this. We were looking at the numbers as far as the total. We've had over 600 students apply for DCI and hundreds in the program. With the 27 current interns, that's 83 semesters between them all, 43 years if you do the math. 8 seniors, 6 of them have been with us since their freshman year, which is incredible. That's 55 semesters for just the seniors. And 3 of them, Ashley, Rihanna, and Jody, have been all 8 semesters of their high school career in DCI. So they've done just amazing work, so much work, and it's a commitment because we get some of the best students. They're very ambitious. They're not just doing DCI. They're doing so much other things. But you think about this month alone, the past 30 days on our Instagram, just through our posts, we had 57 posts, not including stories. Our Facebook page, 73 posts. That's just 1 month. We reached over 1.2 million views on Instagram alone the past 30 days. So month after month, year after year, the work they did to help us tell our stories. And we always try and explain to them, their why. And when we are in hard times and we go to the community for bond measures, partial tax, when the community is asking, why should I support you? There's a million stories out there about why you should support our staff, what we've done with your previous tax dollars. And so that kind of brings us full circle to their why, the Board of Education. So they've just done great work. Really quickly, I just want to mention that Evelyn and Avni, who are 2 student managing editors, kind of the highest, they're both headed to UCLA together in the fall, which is amazing because they work so well together in DCI as that position. Elena's going to Loyola Marymount to play soccer. Ashley's going to Boston University to study TV and film. Rihanna, Jody, and Vanya are all heading to Berkeley together, which is really cool. And then Supriya, our other seniors, going to King's College in London. So very proud of them and just appreciate them coming tonight, dressing up, and just being here to learn about the board. So thank you for having us. That is it.
Thank you. That concludes our reports.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Bernalstal and everybody. Okay, we are to consent items. We need a motion for consent items A through H, I believe.
I move to approve consent items A through H.
Second.
Motion was made by Mrs. Chavez, seconded by Mr. Ng. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Yeah, and now we are to comments of the board, superintendent, and staff. Mrs. Yee.
Thank you so much. I'll try to keep it short because I know everybody wants to get out of here. But I just want to thank all the groups everybody who's presented tonight. I know it's so much work, and we really do appreciate just like how thoughtful your presentations are so that we understand what's going on. So thank you to everybody. Just a few shout outs. I know, Lee and I attended the Foothills Middle School's play, Fearsome Pirate Frank. It was really fun and different, and so I'm really excited that we were able to go and just get to enjoy the kids and all the things that they love to do. And I know a lot of people here also attended the Arcadia High School Orchesis Show 7, which was another amazing show by our Orchesis group. So just, congratulations on all that hard work, and, congratulations to the seniors, because I know that was their last performance. Let's see, I was at the Arcadia High School Honorary Service Awards, and I wanted to congratulate our fellow board member, Jennifer Vargo, for receiving an Honorary Service Award at the high school. I know she does a lot at all the schools, so it's much appreciated. And then many of us were at the Arcadia Council PTA Membership Awards and Installation Luncheon, and that's always a fun event, just to get to see everybody, catch up with people, and so just a thank you to Arcadia Council PTA. I'm always just blown away by all the decorations, everything they do. It's just pretty amazing. And then again, all of us, I think most of us were at the ATA Day of the Teacher that the ATA puts on. It was really fun to see everybody there too, and just a shout out to the Minster family for hosting, and to ATA for always putting on that really fun day for our teachers. And the last is this past weekend I attended the Rotary's Terry Muse Wellness 5K, benefiting the Arcadia High School Wellness Center. Not sure how much they were. I think it was $3,000 or $5,000. So that's amazing. It was a really super hot day, like the hottest day of the weekend. So we were all. I don't think any of us finished the 5K, to be honest, because walking on the track in that heat was not fun. but it was still a great event, and so I'm happy that I was able to do that. And yeah, other than that, just congratulations on the 2 retirements, Scott Bramley and Daniel Hacking. They will be sorely missed, but I know that they leave a wonderful legacy and have mentored so many people here, so we will feel the effects of everything that they've done here for a very long time. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. E. Let's go with Ms. Van.
Thank you, and congratulations to Mr. Bramley and Dr. Hacking once again. And then, just like last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and I know we passed the policy for Classified Employee Appreciation Week, so just wanted to extend my deepest gratitude once again. Like, reflecting back senior year, genuinely, the support staff at all the schools I've been to have been life-changing, and I would not be here without them, so thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Ms. Van. Ms. Vargo.
I'm not going to repeat everything that that Shirley said. I just wanted to say thank you to all of the different individuals and organizations that invite us to their events. It really does make us comfortable going in there, and not like we're invading people's territory. So the ATA luncheon, the council PTA and the high school PTSA things, the Orchesis thing, and then even Mr. Johnson's event that we could not go to at Foothills. At First Avenue. Even if we don't attend, having that extension really helps. So I appreciate that.
So true.
Thank you, Mrs. Vargo. Let's go, Mr. Ring.
Oh, I have pretty much the same with everybody else. I attended all these events. They were all great. I think we didn't mention the Superintendent Art Awards, which is huge for me. I always appreciate that. Seems to get bigger every year. Maybe it needs to go back to the pack. Again, congratulations, Dr. Hacking and Scott Bramley. They will be missed, but hopefully they're going to enjoy life from this moment on.
Okay.
Mrs. Chavez.
Yep, followed everybody around for all of those events. They were amazing. The update I just wanted to give on behalf of the Booster Club is they are in full swing on registering for sports camps at the high school this summer, and they will continue rolling acceptances. It's not like AEF Summer School where you have to register by X day. If there's room, kids can continue to sign up. So for anybody interested in that, that is going on. I attended Chamber of Commerce this morning on behalf of the board and let them know about our successful bond sale, and so was happy to have your update. Thank you earlier than the meeting. And They are, of course, very excited about the Olympics coming to Arcadia, and the Arboretum has a great lineup of summer events. So anyway, lots happening in the community, but don't want to take too much detail on that. And I will just say, I'm amazed that Dr. Hacking did not get up on the mic and say, "This is my last spot." Anyway, because I think we've heard him say that everywhere he's been for the last 6 months. But congratulations to both him and to Scott Bramley, who was super helpful in helping me understand some of the things about being on the board when I first came on, and appreciate his longevity and historical scope on the district. And he was on my bus ride at the new teachers and new staff bus tour around the district to acquaint everyone, and he was sort of the tour guide. It's going to be hard to replace. I learned things on that tour about Arcadia that I had never heard before. So anyway, wish them both the best. We will miss them.
Thank you, Mrs. Chavez. Yes, happy trails to Mr. Bramley and Dr. Hacking. It will be exceptionally missed. The only other thing I have is happy Mother's Day to the mothers on the dais over here, and everyone else listening and out here as well. And thank you to all the reports. They are very substantive and substantial, and that is why I am keeping my comments very brief. And well,
I'll do
give
this.
it to Dr. Van Ostal.
Thank you, and I'll do the same. I just want to remind everyone that this time of year is always so busy, and there's so many events, and yet they're moments that should be cherished. You know, that there's so many banquets, celebrations, culminating events at our schools, and behind all those events are just this army of volunteers. You know, we're talking about the PTA council luncheon, and you just walk in, and there's so many, you know, people behind the scenes that have made it happen with the decorations, and I'm just so honored that I get to attend all of them, and I use that word purposefully. I get to. It's a very busy time of year, and yet there's so much to celebrate with the accomplishments of our kids, but through the work of our staff and our partners in Arcadia. So it's a great time of year, and just encourage everyone to slow down a little bit and enjoy it. That's it.
Wise words. Thank you, Dr. Van Ostal. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting at 9:41 p.m. Good night, everybody.
All right.